Hi everybody, my son and I are at Coldingley today, and we're taking advantage of the weather because yesterday it was appalling, rained all day, very cold believe it or not. Today it's 72F and we're just taking advantage of the weather before it changes yet again. My son's very lucky, he's got today off work. But we can't walk far because he's using a crutch all the time. So we've picked a flat site and we've picked a site where people, cyclists you've just seen, and go fishing. So if you want to fish on this site that we're going to and you come down this drive, you've got to, it's a lock-up drive, so I'm assuming you have to pay extra money for your permit to fish on here. Not sure how that works, I'm a bit out of touch with that to be honest. And then we have row zips, which all country folk would use at one time. I'm not sure if they still do it. So there you go then, if you want to fish on this site you must have a permit. So here we are then at Coldingley. It's as calm as a mill pond. There's a few coot in this corner calling. Well, it's an extraordinary day, there's hardly a cloud in the sky. We've taken his coats off, fastening them round his waist. I got my silly floppy hat on, the sun's so strong. So, looking across Coldingley, you'll see there's an embankment there, and up the other side of the embankment is Winterset. So just bearing off to the left where the woodlands are is the Anglers Park, and you have to, I think you get 2 hours now free parking there. The one that we've just come up is holds a little siding, holds about 6 cars, so it's a matter of judging it. If you come down to Coldingley and you can't get parked up, you can always go further on to the Anglers and have a walk around there. So you do not be spoilt if you come out, but what a lovely sight this is. Not many birds as you would expect at this time of year. Most have fledged now. Can't see any swallows or swifts or house martins. So at where the tree line is, right at the end of the, as far as I can see, is woolly edge. You can see how high it is, so you can see for miles when you go up there. Me and my wife used to go up there a lot when we were younger, and before the motorway was built, so you can tell how long that is. And this field here at the bottom, there used to be some houses down there at one time, and they used to get their water feed from the hillside, I believe, until pesticides started coming in and they could no longer drink the water. Well, as I've mentioned, it's just like a mill pond. There's no wind whatsoever. You can see that by looking at the tops of the trees. It's absolutely beautiful. If you can ever get out this way, have a go. Nice gentle walk. Now this walkway used to be part of the old canal, and people used to go in barges from Barnsley to come to Coldingley and picnic, and they used to play, the children used to play around that area, and I suspect they would play with the children from the houses I've just mentioned here. Well, my son's just pointed this out to me, this heron. You can see it's fanning in the sun. Not bothered about us at all. Now there used to be a heronry at on the Charles Waterton site, which is not far off here, about a quarter of a mile to our left. And Charles Waterton was locally known as the Squire of Walton Hall, but he wasn't a squire, name only, all the locals call him that. And we can go to that site another day. So this is the spillover. You've got to have water coming in and going out, which is obvious, and the depths need to be controlled. So this is the spillover, and I'll show you the other bit in a minute where it's going to. Lovely sound of water, which I really appreciate and like. So there we go. So this is where it's going to. It smells a little bit because of the green algae, so I'll not stay here for long. But it goes down there, right down to the field I showed you earlier, and probability is it goes into the dike where people used to get the water from all those years ago. There's dragonflies about today, bright blue some of them. So now we're in the wood, which I believe is called Hall Park. It is called Hall Park, what am I saying? And there's plenty of cycle ways and walkways for people down here. Little bit of a steep climb coming up. So the spillover you've just seen is the water's going downhill to where I said to that field. But on this side, believe it or not, this is the old canal, and you can see it's all dried up now. And this canal used to take coal from Barnsley to Wakefield, I would have thought. Coal in the main was landlocked, so it had to be got out to industrial areas and places where people used it for their coal fires, etc. And at that time barges were the things to have. Terrible life though. So anyway, you've seen the canal, which is dried up. I've just mentioned that to you, and you probably notice, let's take it back a bit, that it comes round a bend. So the thing was, how did you get a barge that being pulled by a horse around the bend? Well, this is how you did it. You had a pulley, like this one, and you put the rope around it and pulled on the pulley, and the barge turned to the left. Well, not only had barges not only did barges come through with the coal, there was horse carriages went over the top of the canals, and this is one of the places that would go over, and I'll just show you a little bit more of that. You can see that the canal is fairly wide, and then it narrows as it comes under this bridge. Obviously they didn't want to spend an horrendous amount of money on bridges, so they made them as narrow as possible, and people could still walk underneath while the carriages were going over the top. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, there should be some scratch marks on here somewhere where the barges have come through. But you can see as you approach the bridge that there is a few broken stones, and you can see with the dark ones they would be underwater, and the light ones of course open and exposed to the air. Not sure what that is in the middle. Whether it was a strength bar or something, I don't know. But just look at the build on this bridge. It's absolutely incredible. Look at the size of those stones and how it arches over. Wonderful. So let's have a look above. So we've seen the canal, we've seen under the bridge, now we're looking at over the bridge, and it's substantial. Looks twice as big up front, up top. But you can see how steep it is, look, for a horse and carriage to get to up there. I have to say that when I first come down on this site, there was no signs at all. And I used to have to remember where I'd come from and where I was going. And I have to say that I've only ever been lost all my life in a wood twice. One was when the fog came down so thick I couldn't see, and one was Nottingham somewhere. Now my son's wandered off, so I'm not quite sure where he is, and this is a lesson to be learned if you're out in the country. Always stick together. So just back to briefly to the canal again. You can see how low it is. Well, it had to be dug out, and it all had to be more or less on the same height, or you couldn't get the water to fill into the canal. And the water came from Coldingley and Rail. So let's see how high it actually is. Oh, you can see it drifts away a long way down there. So yeah, very expensive, so it must have been worth their while to get the coal out. Here's a brief idea of how steep it would be to dig out. Now, although we've seen lots of people, nobody wanted to be on camera of course, and I don't blame them. I've also heard birds calling, and I've heard a goldcrest while I've been standing in this area. But I can't see one. So the birds we saw earlier were swans, and it's a one parent and 3 cygnets. Not sure what the other bird is. Yeah, probably 3 cygnets. You can correct me as I go along, you know, I'm getting old now, and I used to know every bird that came in the area. I used to know every bird by their call, and I've not been out as much of late, so you lose it. But I'm going to try and get that heron again. So there it is, look, in the tree. It's catching all the sun. When I said cygnets, I really should have said first year birds. Cygnets are usually chick type, aren't they? Yeah, these will be first year birds, not fully white yet. I wonder where they'll go to. But there have been swans breeding on this site ever since I've been coming, and I've been coming over 50 years. Wow.